welcome to tonight's meeting of the Armada Village Council. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, you wanna call attendance?
Shaw.
Here.
Clark.
Here.
Conan.
Here.
Bullock. Oh, Bullock. My goodness.
Yeah.
Adair. Belkey.
Here.
I need a new stamp. Barzik. Here. And Stirrup.
Here.
We'll approve of those.
Right, well, I'll get it after election.
Okay, you've got the agenda. Can we get a motion?
I'll move to approve the agenda as presented.
Support. All in favor? Aye. Motion's approved. Do we have any citizen comments? Okay, no comments, no presentations, administrative reports. Who would like to go first?
I'll go.
Okay, go ahead, Mike.
Okay. So F&B reports in here. Everything looked good. They're keeping up on all the maintenance. They worked on the drying beds. Those are complete. He didn't have to replace the tile because he said it was draining perfectly fine. And I'm still working with the DEQ on the old holding tank. I got the lab back and I'll email Dennis and see what we're allowed to do from there. And I'll come back to council.
Okay.
Just a minute, they took samples on what?
Yes.
Okay.
So they, Dennis requested, and Dennis's supervisor requested, labs done on the water that's sitting in there to see if that would mess up our sewer system. If we put some high metallics or anything like that into our system, it could throw off our numbers, so,
Okay.
they wanted to see what was in there, and the labs came back good.
So you're working with Dennis Ryan on what, I'm sorry?
What we can do to the old storage
Yeah,
tanks,
old
holding tanks,
All holding tanks,
that are
okay.
underground.
Okay.
Trying to see, it was in the capital improvement plan, so just starting the ball rolling on getting something put together for that. And I'll bring it to council when I spoke to Dennis.
Thank you.
Okay. Ross, you wanna go?
Yeah, talked to council a little bit about the CDSMI, Complete Distribution System Material Inventory that we owed Eagle by the 16th. It was submitted by the deadline. Just so you get an idea on the complexity of that, that was about 10,000 data points, individual data points that we had to put in there for our 613-ish water lines. You've got a copy of the summary. You have one that says original signed, because I couldn't find the one I signed, but I have found the one I signed. So if you want to see the signed copy, but essentially all the data's there. It lists 151 lines that it says known to be made of lead, but that's not necessarily the case. That's 151 out of the 613 lines that we have. The Eagle database forces a replace solution, right? So if you can't completely identify what a connection is and you suspect it was connected to lead possibly in the past, and we've got, especially in old sections of the village, you've got old 4-inch water mains that have been there for 50, 60, 70 years. We know we need to replace them. It's all about the money. They could have been connected to lead. We're not saying they're connected to lead. The Eagle database, when you fill it in, forces it's a lead line solution. Now, so the next logical step would be to try to determine what those connections are, and that's generally the connection with a water line to the main. In the old days, they used lead because lead was easily manipulable to a rigid galvanized line, steel line, copper line, whatever the case. The long story short is we hydrovac'd in areas that were largely dirt to go through the center of a street section. It's, you know, you gotta saw out a section of concrete or asphalt to do that. Bit more expensive, that's probably what we're gonna do next, because I do not believe we have anywhere close to 151 bad lines. We need to investigate. That will be far cheaper than replacing a line, which is $5,000 to $6,000 a line. So if you want to just extrapolate on what the cost for replacement of suspected lead service lines is without any other action, it's 151 times 6. It's a bucket of money. So, and we have 10 years to do that in, again, not knowing when really the start point is. The federal government, EPA, and Eagle have not given that to us. Under the 20-year timeline that I provided at the last meeting, it started in 2000, we got to 2040. It's now 10 years, but they haven't delineated what the timeline is. So the next step in this process is I have to get this information online, so I'm going to do it in the village database. I'm probably going to go out, because we don't have any other good way to do it other than potentially put something on the township website. Why would they necessarily care? Because it's village residents, so I have to almost go to I Love Armada just to say, hey, if you live in the village, take a look and see if your water line's listed here. So I've got to do that by the 15th of November, so it's a very fast-moving train. After that, then I got to send out individual letters where I can be more descriptive about, don't panic, we don't think that all of these lines are lead. Probably they aren't lead, but we don't know for sure. And so I've already talked to Paul at Rowe, setting up a meeting likely for next week where we're going to start talking about the plan next year, so I can get some budget numbers to start doing some work. There are some amount of these lines that are no-brainers, simple, easy to fix. There are some that if they're connected to residential lines, it gets much more expensive and much more complicated. It's kind of a lot that every municipality in the country is working through right now, so it's not unique to us. Everybody's got it.
In the country or in Michigan?
In the country.
Country?
In the country. Everybody's got to do this.
But they're not giving you money for this?
Well, there are grant opportunities available, and we're gonna go after every grant opportunity that we can for this. Just attended I always get snookered by this, when SEMCOG has a water seminar, I usually go to get the latest information. They just had a clean water seminar. I always forget, clean water in Eagle terminology means wastewater, stormwater. Drinking water, if they say drinking water specifically, it's drinking water. It's what I deal with. So I did go to the clean water seminar that they just had. You guys have got some information about grant opportunities that I gave you. I've got more. I've got the minutes from the meeting. It's a bit of a digression, but what they're talking about is they're looking at the scoring criteria for grant requests, and they are trying to modify them. One of the things they've noticed is they miss small municipalities that tend to have higher median incomes but not the population. So we get scored down because we're not disadvantaged or significantly disadvantaged, and we get scored down because our income's higher. But when you got two people, I mean, it's squeezing blood out of a turnip. So we've got 1,700 residents, small population, paying into systems that are now costing us a lot of money. So there are grant opportunities out there. I will go to the next water one. I've asked specifically for a water meeting, and Eagle representatives were there, and they're trying to change the language at the legislature level, because at the end of the day, that's where it changes. Eagle doesn't do this, they just execute what the legislature has said to do. So when I meet with Rowe and I send out some of these notices after the 15th of November, this is using that $6,200 I still have as part of the TMF grant. It's just I mean, the cost of everything is going up. I asked Roe if they were committed to keeping the $150 an engineering hour that they've been telling us about for a while. No, it's now $170 an hour for engineering, just to have a discussion. So that allows me at least to go in and look at my 6,000 and how many hours can I get. So this is part of the list that I owe council, but I gotta get through this stuff before I sit down and come up with that list to you guys. Just for continuity here, I guess, if anything, I've talked to 5 residents in the last 2 weeks. Each conversation takes about 45 minutes to an hour, unless I want to hang up on them. Talking about water bills, sewer bills. Mike, I gotta tell him it's a water sewer bill. I can talk about water. I can't talk about sewer.
Yeah, you take the blame for both.
I get beat. Most people are understanding, but we have just, it's interesting because we've just read meters, done a hard read of water meters. We don't do that generally but once a year, and if you've been underestimated for 3 quarters, all of a sudden it hits, and now your bill's higher and everybody wants to know why. And it's,
Excuse me, but they usually read the meters more than once a year. At least they do mine.
they generally once a year is when they get a
If they
full-
can't get it
Once
throughout
Yeah.
the year,
to get to.
then they
Yeah.
get a card and they have to let them in for an
Yeah.
actual physical reading,
Yeah.
so that's what he's talking about.
Well, and one of the things I've been doing over the last couple of years is a meter replacement program, trying to get rid of all of the old meters that we have in the village. Meters never, ever, ever run fast. They run slow if they're old, or they can even stop. And I don't look at my meter every day, and so if you've got a meter running slow or it's stopped, and you're sitting fat, dumb, and happy and thinking, hey, I got a great water bill, water sewer bill, it's cheap, and then you get a quarterly reading or a yearly reading, and now the line snaps tight and everything comes to payoff time, and some of those bills are high, so I get lots of calls right about now. A separate item, the Macomb County Health Department's contacted me on a couple issues in the village. They notify me when somebody wants a separate test of their water. Sometimes people are sick in the house, they don't know why. They're trying to figure it out, and they may say, can you test our water? The good thing about it is I don't know on the front end, but I can FOIA the results. I do that, and the water tests that we've had done by the health department match what we do through F&V. We have very few contaminants in our water. It's very clean water, and so it's good to get a clean bill of health from the Macomb County Health Department, in addition to the F&V laboratories and so on. We send stuff to for both water and sewer.
More than likely it's the onions on their hamburgers.
Well, you know what I find a lot of times, people have in-house water filters, and some people don't change them for years.
Yeah.
And you know, you hate to look at those things if they haven't been changed in years. But that was good news. Mike, just to start getting ready for it, we have an F&V contract discussion in December. Steve and I used to do that all the time. It's just a progress report. What are they doing good? What are they doing bad? So just, you might start thinking about it, because there's 2 pieces of it. It's your piece and my piece. We usually go in. I may have problems, you may have no problems. But it's good to talk to them. So do that in December. If we can't help it, we slip it to January, but it's good to get it out of the way in December.
When is their contract up?
Next year, it may be the year after that. It's a
Okay.
5-year contract,
Okay.
and it's at the end of the budget year and start of the new budget year. So I do not believe it's at the end of this one, it's the next one, so 26. But I will check that out.
Okay.
That's a good question. And then last, is, we do have a ZBA appeal. We've nailed it down now to 21 November. All members are on board with that. And more to follow after the appeal is done. So right now it's scheduled for 7 o'clock, 21 November, subject to questions.
Thank you.
Okay, you got it?
Who's next? Hey, go ahead, Amy.
I just wanted to let you guys know that today I walked first in Simon Street and everything looks amazing. You know, it's really coming together, like they're doing all the finishing parts of it. And I spoke to a couple residents on Simon Street today, and I asked them if they're happy with how their street looks, and they are very happy with their street. The one man I spoke to, he told me that he heard that Simon Street hasn't been paved since 1975, so that
I think
was,
it's more than that.
I
Yeah.
know.
Because
Yeah.
Mr. Laskowski sat here years ago and said it was
60
65
years.
years.
Yeah,
That-
that's why I've been
that
longer
they
than that.
put there,
Yeah.
okay.
Well,
So-
he did.
So yeah, that's even worse.
Yeah.
But that's what he thought he heard from someone, so, and their only concern is so they put the grass seed down and they put the straw, it's like the roll of straw
Yeah.
over top, and they're just concerned about where they're gonna put their leaves. And they asked me about that, and they asked me if I thought it would be okay if they put their leaves right on the street, because they don't wanna put them on the grass seed and, you know, hinder that from growing. And I said, I don't see a problem with you putting it on, right on the street, it's not gonna be a big deal.
It's the only thing they can do.
Yeah,
Right.
so,
And it's
yeah,
not a busy street.
no,
Right.
no.
Just let Dave know they might be on the
Yeah,
street.
to keep
and
an eye on, get
that
those
should be
first
good.
maybe, yeah,
Yeah.
I'll mention, yeah, I'll talk to him for sure. And I'm gonna do a final walkthrough as soon as I get the go-ahead from Paul, or as soon as everything's finished, I'll go do a final walkthrough, if you wanna come with us, and he's mentioned Dave Wagner, too, so, anybody can come, more the merrier, so yeah, it's all going really good, it's almost done.
Okay, very good.
Long time in the making.
Was there anything else, Amy?
No, I think that's it.
Okay, do we have any other administrative reports?
Planning Commission, you guys have the minutes in your packet, that was from August, actually, we didn't have a meeting in September, we did have our October meeting. One of the things discussed is the master plan update, we're gonna start it, in January, they're gonna start looking at the master plan. And I have the planners there, I guess.
Then I understand you had some, a meeting set up and then the people didn't
Yes,
show
that's
up?
correct, that 22,944 Main
Like,
Street.
do we do a site plan?
Yes, and they had given us a proposal, but they didn't show up, so we couldn't.
Well, nothing you can do
No,
there.
there's nothing we can do about it, hopefully they're not moving in there without us knowing about it.
Okay,
And, that's it.
good. Joe, you good?
No, she
No.
told us everything's first meeting.
Okay, and that covers our administrative reports. Our consent agenda. We've had a chance to review that, payment of bills, the minutes, and the holidays special,
Holiday
Event.
parade.
right. So, do we have a motion on this?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Support.
Got that?
Yep.
Clerk and Belkey, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion's approved. Okay, surprisingly enough, we have no old business here, we have no new business here. Do we have some upcoming agenda items?
I'll have the special event permits from the Lions Club for the next meeting, that's gonna be holidays and, Goodfellow and
This
tree
is,
lighting. and-
this is not what we're approving here.
No, that's just the parade, the
Just the
fair, the
parade.
fair does the parade now.
Okay. Any other upcoming agenda? Okay, citizen comments. Okay, council comments. Go ahead, Ross.
Just not sure where else to bring it up, but just, again, we're into the general election season. The early voting is going on at the administrative building in the village, precinct 1, precinct 2 at the senior center, started on 26th of October, going through Sunday, the 3rd of November. They're averaging about in the past, in the primary, you get 10 to 12 people a day. You're getting 150 people in there a day. I think it's, a lot of people are concerned about commotion on election day. We have had 3 poll workers refuse to work because of concerns for violence or threats. I gave you an article just on it so you can familiarize yourself with that. I know Joe's worked past elections, she had somebody in her face once upon a time.
Oh, we've all had them in our face. at one
People,
point in
yeah,
time.
people trying to bring guns in to
Working
to
this
the
office, right?
school administrative building. So it's gonna be potentially a tense time, and, I'll certainly be calling the village police to come by the administrative building every once in a while. That tends to calm things down. They've got the sheriff on speed dial. The reality is, as we talked about, they will most likely call the village police, because the sheriff is gonna be someplace to the
Well,
side.
I understand last time that the township officials, now, again, I was kind of told secondhand. The township official wanted to know why we had police out there that, they didn't know, you know. And,
Well, it's
you know,
not our
that's not in our
jurisdiction.
jurisdiction, and, just to go and show off, it seemed to me.
It's
yeah,
a
you're
true
right.
statement. I just
But
don't wanna
again,
be
Again,
penny wise and pound foolish here.
but again, we can't infringe our thought or our desires on another, that's a different legislative group.
That's
and,
true. And
But anyhow,
Yeah.
anything else?
they should be here talking to us more about it, yeah. But no, nothing else on that.
Okay, I do have a comment here. It's been kind of going around a little bit about, nothing's being done in infrastructure, there's no planning, but I just like to review some of the things that I can remember offhand that we've done in the not so far past. In terms of roads, even though we know we'd like to do a lot more, we did East and West Main, we did North and South Fulton. Those were huge, huge projects. South Fulton was a lot of underground work. It was extremely expensive. Those were major projects. We did Lathrop Street, now we've done First
You
and
did
Simon
Spencer
Street.
not too long ago.
So, not that we wouldn't like to do more, but there's been things done. Now, we've completely refurbished our sewer plant, which, as we know, a lot of things can fail us and we can survive, but that sewer plant's gotta run. And we've completely refurbished that. We've put in a new well into our water system. We've, well, it was quite a while back, but we've put in a new water tower. We painted that water tower. You've improved the controls on the water tower.
We've
So,
modernized
there-
the water.
My only point is, for those that say that there's been no infrastructure work done in this community, that's absolutely false. Do we need more? Of course we need more. But there has been a lot of work done in this community, and you guys and the guys before you deserve a lot of that credit. I mean, you guys don't get much credit, but, you guys are what made it happen. So, that's all I got to say.
The only major street that we haven't done is Burke, right?
Pardon?
The
You
only-
did Burke a while ago,
Yeah,
because we
a
just
long
didn't
time
do
ago.
that other
No, I
section.
mean,
We
Still
did
need
Spencer
it.
Street.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's worth pointing out too that the cost of these infrastructure projects are very high, and the village has a limited budget. So
No.
I have to concur with what David said. I think we've done a lot,
Absolutely.
given a little money, and that's because of
No.
smart financial management and so on.
Yeah.
So,
And
So-
I'd also like to point out that we do have a plan in place. We haven't voted on it yet, but we put it into our capital improvement plan that we built for the next 4 years. And we have a plan to get most of the streets in the village resurfaced within the next 2 to 3 years.
Well, hopefully that will come across, but it's just, again, sometimes, we all want more things, and, sometimes I think people don't necessarily know that you refurbished the whole sewer plant. I mean, it's not something they see every day, they're not
I
driving
see it
on
on the
it.
bills.
But if it wasn't working, boy, you'd know it then.
Right.
So anyhow, it's just a thought. So anyhow, that's all I have. And, moving on, there's no other council comments. Community events. Hey, we got the first game of the state high school football playoffs this Friday night at 7 o'clock. We are the home team, so we're playing Richmond. And so, somebody wants to have a lot of fun and watch a good game, come on out. Are there any other community events? Okay, we have no.
Halloween, I guess.
Oh, Halloween,
Oh.
yeah, Halloween.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Halloween hours are 6 to 8. I know nobody will see this probably before Halloween,
I'm
but
finally remembering that.
Yeah.
Someone asked me, I said, I think it's 6 to 8.
it was
Yeah.
always 5 to 7.
I
Like
know,
when I was
I
a kid,
know.
it was 5
People
to 7.
wanted it so it
I
was
always
darker.
forget.
I understand,
So
yeah.
it was a request of a lot of people, and we thought it was a good
Well,
one.
6
And
to
the
8
chief agreed.
makes it better for people to get home from work.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, you're not rushing, yeah.
And then at 8 o'clock, the Lions Club has the Halloween costume,
Yeah.
costume contest. So,
Okay.
Are there any other community events? Okay, well then,
Get out and vote.
I,
Tuesday's voting day. Get out and vote if you haven't done so already.
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting at 7:27.
Support.
motion by, you got it.
Yep.
All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Motion's adjourned.
I get it.